and you'll find social workers working in them. So if you ever want to talk about that, please talk to Dr. Breitenstein and talk to me and any of the other faculty who have those interests. Dr. B, you want to say something there?
No, I think you covered it well, and I think if you see your career path in one of those areas of social work, I think and if you're undecided, talk to me or Dr. Twist, and we love talking macro social work, and so there's a lot of opportunities out there for macro social workers, and one of the great points that Dr. Twist brought up is that in a lot of organizations they're not run by social workers. And so we're really trying, there's a nationwide movement right now to try to get more recognition for macro practitioners in running social work organizations. So if you're interested, you can be part of that movement.
Thank you.
Great. And up next, Dr. Ken is going to talk about school social work, our newest specialization.
Yes, our baby, brand new, that which started this fall, but was, I guess, a labor of love for us for many years, and hopeful that this would come about. But yes, this fall we launched the school social work program, which prepares, guess what, social workers to work in school settings. If anyone can know the national data, right? The number of youth that are reporting or meeting the clinical diagnosis for depression, anxiety has more than doubled since COVID. And whether that's just, a increase in awareness, it's an increase in talking about those mental health needs. The reality is that COVID brought out a lot of those issues as well. So we are excited to launch the school social work program. It's very similar to the direct practice route. I would say it mirrors it very, very close. And so if someone might be on the fence and is debating between the two, doing the school social work track allows you to do both. It will prepare you to be a direct practice practitioner, but it'll also give you the licensure that's needed to do school social work. One thing that you're all probably working towards is once you get your MSW degree, you, depending on what state you're in, apply and take an exam to get licensed in that state. Additionally, there is a school social work state license in the state of Pennsylvania. Not every state requires this. I know we had one student who graduated, went to Wisconsin, and they don't need a separate license for school social work, but the school social work prepares you for those tracks. Differences being that if you are in the school social work track, you will take additional courses, essentially swapping out a few, if you will. So it's not additional, meaning more credits, but varied classes. And you would take those courses in the education realm. So taking a course in special ed and taking a course in English language learners is the manner in which you would sort of gain those expertise in the school social work arena. Additionally, we applied for with our friends and colleagues in the professional counseling department and received a, wait for it, $5 million grant to increase this pathway for students working in school settings. And what this does is, as you get to your field placements, you would actually have, if you're working in again, those school settings for your field placement, you'd get a stipend for that field placement. Additionally, the 3 courses that are designed for the school social work track would be paid for you. That accounts to roughly a $11,000 to $12,000 package of either tuition remission or stipends that you'd be receiving for that track.
Thank you. So we have a lot of different options for you. We also didn't talk about this, but we heard some of you students mention it. We have a dual degree option. That's an MSW MBA. It's a lot of credits. And if I had the numbers in front of me, I'd tell you what they are, but I think it's somewhere around 80 credits to get this dual degree. So if you're interested in that, you also pick a specialization, but the 2 options in the dual degree are direct practice or macro practice. The dual degree in social work or school social work and the MBA, they haven't really worked out yet. If you're somebody who's dying to do that, give me a call and I'll see what we can do. But right now we are offering the dual degree for our direct practice and macro practice specializations. Dr. Twist said she's going to try to get some of you to jump ship, and I welcome you all to do that. I did want to mention that you have to quickly pick your track as you're applying to the program, because that's just how we categorize you as you come to the program. But most of the beginning classes are going to be similar across all tracks. So our specializations only requires you to take 3 different classes, except for school, there's more. But the direct practice and macro practice, there's only 3 classes that are different from one another. So you have time to change your mind. You have time to kind of learn about what they are. You're going to learn in the classes that you all take together the difference between macro and direct practice. So if you start to feel like you do want to jump ship or change ships, you can let any of us know, and we can help talk to you about that. And if it's something you want to do, we can look at your courses and make sure you're on the right track. And if you're not, we can get you on the right track. So it's not too late to change, especially as you're all in your first semester. So if you heard something that's interesting to you, let us know and we'd be glad to help you. You're not locked in. So, and I think that Dr. Ken mentioned this. Regardless of the specialization that you choose, there's still a chance that when you get to the end of your MSW, you might end up going in a different direction or doing a little bit of everything. So the specializations are really specific to Carlo and to the university. And when you graduate with your MSW, that's your entry into the field. So you can do most of the things that either one of the tracks offers for you as you get your degree. Except again for school social work, because if you're in Pennsylvania, you need a special certification. And so you need to have taken those courses, but you're not really locked in right now. And even as you get closer to graduation, there's still opportunities in the field to move about. So don't feel pressure if you don't know, or you think you're in the wrong place. There's definitely time to change that. But regardless of what specialization you choose, whether it's direct practice, macro practice, school social work, or you're looking to do something else when you get out there with your MSW, all of our courses and our whole program is designed to be trauma informed. So some of you might know what that is, but those of you that don't, or you need a little refresher, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Frank to tell you about trauma informed social work.
Thank you. So before talking about that, I'm just going to give you a definition of trauma. It's a deeply disturbing or distressing experience which can lead to one's normal coping mechanisms becoming overwhelmed, and normal integration of narrative material may not occur. The traumatic material may be stored as body sensations. And that's really important to know, because as you work with people that are traumatized, you will see and hear things that might not make sense to you. So it's an approach in the human service field that assumes that an individual is more likely than not to have a history of trauma. And it recognizes, trauma-informed care recognizes the presence of trauma symptoms and acknowledges the role trauma might play in an individual's life. So there are 4 assumptions that we make. There's the realization about trauma, how it can affect people, how it can affect groups. Recognizing the signs of trauma, having a system which can respond to trauma, and resisting re-traumatization. Before trauma-informed care, people in the health and mental health fields might have seen someone with, say, an addiction, and they would say something like, "Here comes that addict," or "Here comes that schizophrenic." So boxing a person in, making them feel less than. With trauma-informed care, we say, "I wonder what happened to that person to make them act like that, or to make them have these issues." We stop blaming the person. So we're sensitive to the reality of traumatic experiences. Children, their parents, staff, administrators, state officials, police, courts, schools, everyone else. It means being sensitive to the ways in which trauma has affected individuals, families, and entire groups. Native Americans, African Americans, LGBTQ plus individuals. It means becoming sensitive to the ways in which trauma impacts organizations and entire systems. So if your specialization is direct practice, you will see clients who have experienced trauma at least once. You might work at an agency in private practice, at a hospital, a school. Wherever you work, you will end up working with people who have been traumatized. If you're specializing in macro practice, your focus may be on community. Say a homeless shelter is just closed. You're going to be working with a lot of traumatized people. If you're working with the elderly, like during COVID when families couldn't come and see them, you're working with a lot of traumatized individuals. So wherever we work, there's a possibility of working with traumatized people. That's what I wanted to say about it.
Thank you. So yes, thank you so much. That was such a good overview. And Dr. Frank and Dr. Roth, who I mentioned, really worked hard to make sure that the whole program would take a trauma-informed approach because we see the importance of that and the prevalence of it. So if you haven't heard a lot about trauma yet, get ready. It's going to be in all of your classes in one form or another, some more than others, but you're going to know a lot about it when you leave us.
May I say one thing? When we
Yes.
started, people from other from other schools that had MSW programs would say to me, I had people I met once call me and say, what do you need trauma informed? That's so stupid. Now they're all trauma informed. Now everybody's following, but we did it first in this
Yes.
area anyhow.
Dr. Frank keeps us ahead of the trends, so we're in a good place right now. Thank you so much. And next, Dr. Twist is going to talk about our advising process. And this is very important to your getting through the program appropriately and timely.
Thank you, Dr. Stott. And I would just encourage all of the faculty who have anything to say about this to jump in because we all advise in some capacity. To the students, this is really about you and your progress through the program. We, all of you, we want to make sure that all of you know that you all have a faculty member assigned to you as your advisor. And in that capacity, you will be getting emails from us periodically saying, be sure to set up an appointment with us to meet either, online through Teams or to talk to us on the phone or to even engage with us via email. Or if you live in the area, stop by our office because we actually do have offices here. And we're happy to meet with you. It's part of our job. And what we like to do is speak to all of you before you register for classes each semester. We can work out a semester by semester plan for you, but we can also work out a complete plan from start to finish for you. So we have wonderful advising tools developed by Dr. Stott that, help us walk you through exactly what you need to do from start to finish to complete your program at the pace that you need to complete it. And if life gets in the way and there's some disruption, and we need to change your plan, we can change your plan. That happens quite often because life does get in the way sometimes. But when you get emails from your faculty advisor, please get in touch. Those meetings should be very helpful to you. Once you've completed 12 credits, we're going to say to you, you're eligible to go into field. And Dr. Ken is going to be talking with you about that. That we will work with you to work out a plan that makes sense. We're also there to address questions you may have about professional development. So the social work world in education is not that big. A lot of us know people in other programs around the country. And so, when you're thinking about what you might want to do next, we may be able to help you think through that process. Some of our faculty have amazing networks locally and in other areas. Dr. Breitenstein, I'm thinking of your many years, and Dr. Frank, we both have a huge network of folks you know in the area. And so we can be helpful to you. And I know others of you who are here, all of the faculty, Dr. Stott mentioned that we were all students once and we had a network of grad students around us. Well, those people went off and got jobs in social work, right? And we stayed in touch with them. And so we want to be able to be helpful to you and refer you to people who might be helpful to you. We also want to be able to write great letters of recommendation for you for future jobs. And so it's easier to write those letters if we get to know you. So, get in touch. We're here and we get paid for this. It's really part of our job and we're happy to do it. That's it for me.
So don't disappear from your classes and don't disappear from your advisors. I'm sensing a theme. We do like to call this the Choose Your Own Adventure MSW program, in the sense that some of you will take 2 classes a semester, some of you will take 3 classes a semester. We have some students who take 1 class a semester. Some of you will take 2 classes this semester. Next semester, say you want to take 3 and then take a semester off. So it's not a cohort model. And if you have a plan and it's not working, we will help you redraft out that plan. So it gets a little messy and you need to talk to us because there's a lot of moving parts, but we can help you do it and choose your own adventure. So please reach out to your advisors. And I know questions always come up about field placement, so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Ken to answer them all now.
Okay, time to talk about field. I know it's oftentimes maybe the place that is the most scary, or how is this going to disrupt my life? And understandable, right? Absolutely understandable. If you are a traditional student, you will do 3 semesters of field placement. The first, as Dr. Twist alluded to, comes after you finish those foundation courses, those general courses. So that comes at the point in which you've had about 12 credits. And that traditional first placement is meant to open your eyes or open your horizons to the scope of what social work can be. It's usually meant to be in a setting that it has a variety of services that are being offered, so you have the opportunity to learn from those. The final 2 field placements come at the end of the program, typically your last 2 semesters, and those can or cannot be at a same place, but are meant to be 2 and 3 at the same place as you finish up and are in your specialization, hopefully auditioning for the job that you want. I say that because more often than you'd ever believe, that field placement opportunities lead to employment. I will take a pause there to say I will often and always be asked, can I do my field placement at my place of work? And our accrediting body has made vast changes as to the rules to this, and we follow those rules. And there's quite simply a 3-level dichotomy to can you do your field placement at your place of work. The first is our social work program, our CSWE, has a set of competencies that you need to be practicing while you're in your field placement. If the place that you are working meets and matches those competencies, we'll talk a lot about this, so we won't get into the weeds tonight, but then that is sort of step 1 to being able to do your field placement at your place of work, and directly counting your work time towards your field time, which is a new thing, thankfully a new thing. The second piece is supervision. So supervision can't simply be the supervision for your job, but it has to also be supervision towards your growth as an MSW. So it can be your regular supervisor who has conversations with you and is directly related to your growth in utilizing your MSW coursework and skills. And then the third is that we have to have a safety plan if employment were to change. And there is a policy that we have to put into our field manual that if employment were to change or be jeopardized by any means, that we have procedures that we have to follow that up. So simply said, yes, that is an option. But as we meet about field, which is something I love to do, when you are meeting with your advisor and they're saying, looks like you should be doing field in the next semester, they send an email to me, they copy you, and we meet. we do this the old-fashioned way, the best way that I think possible, where we sit, we talk about your aspirations, we talk about your dreams, we talk about what you want to do when you graduate, and we come up with a placement for you. We've had almost zero replication placements because our students have had such vast interest and needs. In the short time that we've been in existence, we've had over 200 field placements. I think of Singapore, I think of Wyoming, I think of Illinois, and I think of these locations. And yes, we will work to find a placement that works where you're at, right? Or what your desire is to do field placement in the settings that you want to. And we have a team of people that are working to resource and find those locations wherever you might be. And so in the end, we want field to be not the, oh my gosh, this is something I have to get through, but this is something I gained a great deal from. And I look forward to the conversations we have about field, because it gives me the chance to get to know each of you, but also gives you the chance to realize what you want to be come graduation.
So we're not kidding when we say it's choose your own adventure. You get to kind of choose your own adventure into field. I know that some of us, when we got our MSWs, we were given a list of organizations and we picked one. No one really asked us what we wanted to do or where we wanted to go if it wasn't on that list. So within the parameters of our accrediting body, we really do let you choose your own adventure, and we want it to be something that works for you, not something that works for us. So I appreciate all the work that goes into placing everybody in the proper field. So take advantage of your advisor and take advantage of that time before you get into field to have those conversations and make sure we're taking the time to get you into the right place. It's definitely not easy, but we have made some amazing connections out in the field, thanks to Dr. Ken and the magic he pulls together for everybody going into field. So thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to go a little bit out of order to give Dr. Ken a break from talking. There is Dr. Deal and Dr. B are working on a little group for the MSW program, and I'm going to let the both of them tell you a little bit about that and hopefully get you interested.
Okay, Dr. B, I can go first and then you could chime in. Is that good? Okay, so we're getting ready to start a student organization, and we're working with our graduate students to get that put together. So our first steps will be to, or our next step in getting started is to survey the students to see what you're interested in this organization taking on. So what we're thinking now is kind of both service to the community and learning opportunities for students is kind of where we are right now. And we also want to be very mindful that a lot of our students are all over the world. So what kinds of things can we do remotely that you guys would enjoy? So stay tuned for that survey coming out very soon.
Yeah, and the other thing that's important to know is that the student organization can be a way to give the faculty feedback on the program too. Our accreditors want us to know that we're responding to the needs of our students, and this would be a vehicle where we can, help understand what some of the needs are, some ways we can improve the program. By the time you graduate, you'll probably be sick and tired of hearing about continuous quality improvement. And whether you're a macro social worker or a micro social worker, we do it all. So, and again, we do this in social work education also. So we think we got a good program, but we're always looking to get a better program, and we need your all's help to do that.
Yeah, I want to add too that participating in a student organization is also an opportunity to build some of your leadership skills and your leadership that you can put on a resume. So engaging in those kinds of activities, those kinds of extracurricular activities can be really beneficial too in that way.
So we'll be getting that information out soon, and we hope to have all of you, or at least some of you, joining that group and helping us see where it goes from here since it's new. So thank you both for working on that. Dr. Ken, I'm going to turn it back over to you to talk about our CURE program and integrated health certificate, and I'll help you with that. but I'm going to let you kick it off.
No worries, Dr. Stott. Yes. So we talked about the school social work program being connected to a Department of Education grant. I guess it was 2.5 years ago, we also got a grant from HRSA, which was meant to increase integrative health settings or placements in integrative health settings, which simply means that when you went to do field placement, that you had a variety of different disciplines that were working in that agency, which is always fantastic to get different lenses as to how they view the work that's being done. Connected with that program was just like the Department of Ed grant, stipends for students while they were doing their field placement. And this was amazing because it allowed students to maybe take a leap out or a step out from other work that they were doing, and maybe taking on a role that was new to them. And the CURE grant includes a $10,000 stipend over your field 2 and field 3 placements. So $5,000 per semester with the application, and then working in an integrative health setting. And priority for these positions was given to students who are placed in rural and underserved areas. So areas that might be marginalized as well as rural areas, to grow the network or the future professionals that would be working in those arenas.
Great. And I know we're throwing a lot of terms at everybody tonight. So integrated health, some of you may know, but if you don't, you're curious, integrated health is kind of the combination of physical health and mental health, or physical and mental well-being, all in one place. So instead of our systems that are very much siloed right now, working towards systems that are more integrated and talking to one another. So if you need physical care, those places are also addressing your mental health needs and vice versa, so that you have more of a one-stop shop. And I don't mean you as in you, but like us as in a whole population. So it's looking at how to make our populations healthier. And so that's integrated health. And my background is working in healthcare and integrated health. So I've been really excited to be part of this grant and helping students launch their careers in that area. So as part of the grant, one of the things we had to do was design an integrated health certificate. And it's designed so if you're interested in taking certain electives to hone your skills in on working in an integrated setting, whether you are direct practice or macro practice, come and talk to me and I can tell you how to earn that certificate. It's very new. It's a couple of extra credits, but if you're interested, we can talk about that. And if you're interested, not in the certificate, but in working in that area, you should definitely come talk to one of us so that we can tell you about applying for that CURE grant and taking advantage of those funds that we have available for students interested in those areas. So we'll be glad to take more questions about that coming up in the future. We send out announcements when it's time to apply for CURE. We send out periodic updates about it. We have speaker series. So you'll see some emails coming out about CURE. You'll see capital CURE all in purple. You'll know that's what that's about. So reach out if you're interested in more information. And so we covered a lot of ground in the last hour. I'm going to wrap it up before we get to your questions. And I just wanted to tell you a few university-wide pieces of information. Hopefully you all have by now been to mycarlo.com. So mycarlo, you can do it on the computer, you can do it on your phone. That is Carlo's intranet for students. So everything you need to know about Carlo is at your fingertips there. So I know when you're in grad school, you're really just focused on the MSW program. Carlo as a whole has a lot to offer you. Take advantage. We have health and wellness services. If you're in the area, we have a gym on campus that you can use. We have an art gallery. We have so many things that I'm leaving out right now, but there's always programs available. So see what's going on mycarlo and take advantage. If you need something with financial aid, it is there. When it's time to register, you do it through mycarlo. So be sure to familiarize yourself with mycarlo and know that that's where you can turn for information. If you can't find what you're looking for, ask us and we'll steer you in the right direction. But sometimes it's easier just to know where to go. I also want to recommend that you all take a look at the graduate course catalog. I'm going to try to put the link in the chat. It's a really long link and I hope it works. I have sent it to you all in an email though too, and it can be found through my Carlo as well. See, it's a long link. But the graduate handbook has all of the university policies, and those are policies that we follow within the program. Policies like what to do if you need to withdraw, when can you drop a class, when is it too late to drop a class, what to do if you have a concern. The academic integrity policies in there too. So please don't cheat on your papers. Don't use AI to write your papers. And if you wonder how much you can get away with, look at that academic integrity policy. It's in there. So everything you need to know is in there, as well as all of our course offerings. So if you're curious what courses you're going to be taking in the future, it gives a little description of all of our courses in there too. So it's a really good resource that I think we often forget to look at. So make sure when you have a minute, you take a look at it, or at least know where to find it if you need it. And last but not least, I want to make sure you all know that Carlo has, among all of the services that it has available for students, we have the Center for Academic Achievement. We call that the CAA for short. But the Center for Academic Achievement is where you can turn for help with writing, for studying, to just try to figure out, how do I be a graduate student, right? Like, it's hard work, and the program's a lot of work. We do a lot of writing. It's intense. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and you just don't know if you can study properly, or if you can write a paper, or maybe you have no idea what APA is and now you have to put references in all these papers you have to write, the CAA can help you. So reach out to the CAA, and that will really help you improve your grades in your writing. I have recommended it to students in the past who maybe don't do great on their first writing assignment. And I can always tell when a student listens and goes and gets that help, because it turns them around. It gives you the skills that you need. So please be proactive in your success. We want to help you. We want to guide you. We want to steer you, but you have to do the work. And for those of you that are struggling in that area, know that you're not alone. A lot of people start graduate school that way. I did myself. Reach out and get on the right track with that. So you can find more about the CAA on the My Carlo app or page. They do virtual appointments, and they are always available in person too. So no excuses. I think they'll meet you in Singapore too. So you can do that time change and pick a good appointment that works for you both. That is all I think we have, unless I'm just going to ask all the faculty, anything I missed, anything you want to add that students should know before we turn it over to questions? Anybody?
I would like to add a little piece, and
Please.
that is, I think it's important to know that any of the services at the university, or just remind you of, that any of the services available to you at the university, the writing support services, the library services, any of that, you've paid for that in your tuition. So I encourage you to use it.
Yes.
Like, take advantage, take full advantage of all of the services available to you.
Right. Right. That's great. I can't stress that more. That's great. Anybody else? Anything to add? All right. Well, students, what questions can we answer for you?
So Dr. Stott, there were two in the chat that I'll respond to, and not uncommon that questions come around field. Absolutely, it's always sort of sitting out there. So a question of supervision as it relates to your field placement. And there are rules. There are absolute hard, fast rules around supervision within your field placement. The first is that oftentimes, the best of worlds, the person who you report to has their MSW and 2 years of experience, and that sort of keeps everything at bay. That's the ideal, but it's not the common. It is absolutely almost the minority of time that is the case. But first level is if, MSW and 2 years of experience, they fill all the criteria for a field placement. If not, we do have great supervisors that are counselors from other disciplines, and they do great work. And if that's the case, that person is your daily supervisor. They sign off on your timesheets and those elements. But then we still need to connect you with someone who has an MSW degree and 2 years of experience. If there is someone else within, I think I'm getting everyone's cold. Like, I almost my Pamela, I have my chest too. If that's the case, then if someone else within the agency has an MSW 2 years of experience and can provide some ongoing support and supervision, that is the next level, which is the ideal. And if both those things are untrue, and this happens as well, then we assign you to one of our MSW faculty as the field instructor to provide that level of supervision. So there's a backup and a backup and a backup. And so we work through those realms, but always best if supervision is in-house, because they know the work that the agency does, and they know and can see you more often as well. The other question was related to hours. Each of the field placements, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, is 300 per semester. And if you were to boil that down to what does that look like for a week, it's around 20 to 22 hours per week. I say that because also included in your field hours is other professional development that you might do, and the time that you spend towards the seminar course that is paired with the field course. That is another nuance or new change that was done post-COVID, is that the time that you spend towards seminar also gets to count towards field. I see a question quick from Ben. Are you able to do an internship at Carlos Counseling Center? Yes, one of our most remarkable students did that. It is a great placement. It is a sought after placement. Two things that I do want to mention here is there are some placements that based on, say, the VA. The VA only has fall, spring placements. One thing that we've done at Carlo, which I think is to the benefit of students, is we offer field all 3 semesters, and a lot of students make use of the summer term to get their field hours in. 1, because there are fewer courses offered during the summer, and 2, sometimes there's just a natural progression as you're getting to the end of the program, and your spring, summer, or summer, fall could help you end a semester earlier than if you were a part of another program.
So summer classes, we offer limited number of summer classes, but we do offer summer classes. And that's why it's also important to talk to your advisor, because they will know what summer classes will be offered. So if you're somebody who wants to plan to do something in the summer rather than take it off from school, let your advisor know, and that can be part of the planning that you do. So there's no requirement to take summer courses, but we do have a select number of courses available, including field, every summer. And everybody has to take an elective. And so if we don't have courses that we're offering, that's oftentimes a good opportunity to take an elective outside of the social work program. We can take electives in the MBA program. Those of you that are in a dual degree, it works out for you because it counts towards your elective. But if you just want to take one MBA class, we can count that as your elective. Our PsyD program, Masters of Professional Counseling, Masters of Psychology, we all have classes that kind of overlap in the field, so we can take each other's courses as electives, and oftentimes are offered in the summer. What other questions? I know there has to be some. Don't be shy. Or if you're shy, you're welcome to email me anytime and ask those too, but please ask them now. We have a few minutes left.
I have a question about, Can you hear me? I'm sorry, it's very loud.
We can.
Okay, so I have a question about direct practice. I know that once you complete direct practice from my research,
Zakia, can you repeat that? I think we had some sirens in the background.
Yes, I'm in the middle of translation, but I was researching in regards to direct practice, and in regards to direct practice, it stated that for me to receive my LCSW, that I need to work for 3 years before I can sit for an LCSW. Is that correct? Am I researching that correct? I read it according to my state, but I was just wondering if that is the norm. So after I finish the MSW, then I would try to figure out what's the process. If anyone can enlighten me.
Yep, that's a good question. So the first step is to complete your MSW and sit for your first licensed social work exam. And those are all regulated by the state. But the LCSW is a more advanced licensure. So this graduate program prepares you to get the first level licensure in your state, the LSW it's typically called. And so you'll work with us towards that when you're done. When you get to the last semester of your coursework, you'll take a class called MSW 736, the Advanced Practice Colloquium. And that course actually talks about the licensure process. It helps you review and prepare for your licensure, because we hope you all will take that entry level exam. But if you're somebody that wants to go on past that for your LCSW, then once you graduate, you will on your own start to collect a number of hours. Each state requires something different. I think Pennsylvania's is around 3,000. And then you take an advanced exam through your state to get that LCSW degree. So it's a bit of a process to get there, but this is the first step in that direction. And I don't know if, I know I don't have my LCSW, but some of our other faculty do. If there's anything you want to add or advice about that, Janice, I see Dr. J, I see you shaking your head.
Yes, no, you're correct. This is the first step. Make it through. Continue to learn. You'll certainly learn all the clinical, a lot of the clinical terminology and theories that you will use, but you do have to. You can't even start accumulating those hours until after you're done. So it's not concurrent with your field. They're two separate entities.
Thank you, Dr. J. That's often a question: is do I have to be placed in certain places or with certain people? And the clock doesn't start until you get your LSW. And then it's, as Dr. Stott said, it's 3,000 hours, which is typically a minimum of 2 years of direct practice work that you're doing under the supervision of someone with their clinical license as well.
Yeah, I'm not a licensed clinician, but I'd like to add too that a lot of organizations now, particularly in southwestern Pennsylvania, but I think it's statewide and probably nationwide, a lot of administrators are bending over backwards to try to get clinicians. And so they're very open to, one of the things they'll throw in is the clinical supervision that you need. And so if you can't get that, then, you can't sit for your LCSW. So, when you get ready to graduate, when you're looking for employment, a lot of times, a lot of CEOs out there right now are trying to attract clinicians. And then, of course, once they get you licensed as a director, you're actually more valuable then, because they can build managed care at a higher rate. So that's kind of how the system works. So, but I've never seen a time in my career in social work, and I've had a long career in social work, I've never seen a sign where clinical social workers are time where clinical social workers are in more demand than they are right now.
So just to add to that, to make sure that I'm clear, is it an option between, do I have to sit for the LSW and that gives me the permission slip to then go on to my LCSW? Or is it that I can forego it and then go for the LCSW?
No, you have to take the LSW, and then that is the first step. And then you could start collecting those hours, those clinical hours, towards taking the LCSW exam.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. You're on the right path. It's a long one, we know. Any other questions? No?
I had a question for Dr. Ken, if he could possibly stay on just for an extra minute or two, because it's specifically regarding me, so I don't want to hold anybody up.
Absolutely, Kylie. Absolutely.
Anybody else? If you don't know who your advisor is, you can email me and I will tell you. I know you get a lot of emails, so you might have missed that, and that's okay. It's hard to start in a new program and know where the emails are coming from. So if you don't know who your advisor is, reach out to me and let me know, and I will connect you. If you have questions you didn't want to ask out loud on the call or put in the chat, please reach out to any of us. You are in the Carlo email system now, and so are we. So you can find us. And I know that we're all available to answer your questions by email, to set up meetings, whatever you need. Please reach out. And we're glad you're here, and we wish you every success in the program. So any other closing remarks from anybody?
Just here. We're really glad you're here.
Great. Well, enjoy the rest of your Thursday and hopefully see you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
very much.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.